Hello, this is Scott Herbst. I am founder and president of Six Flex Training and Consulting, and you are listening to or watching The Flex. This is a show where we talk with people expressing leadership with the intention of opening access to you expressing yours. Today on our show, I'm really excited to share with you Dr. Amy Siebold. Amy is a regional director at Lacuna Autism Services. They are an agency that provides center, school, and community-based services to children with autism. As usual, I am going to let you hear more of Amy's story from Amy. Amy, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Howdy, that's a Tennessee howdy coming at you.
Do they say howdy in Tennessee?
I hear it sometimes. Yeah, I'd say.
Okay, I thought it was more of a Texas or New Mexico thing, but well, howdy.
Pumped to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. How I always start the podcast is just asking you to start by telling some of your story. And you can go back as far as you want. I'm particularly interested in, I always like to hear how people found the field that they're in, but more so, especially then, how you share a bit about your pathway to leadership, and we'll let the conversation unfold from there.
Sure thing. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and I met you at the Chicago school. That's where I went for my master's and PhD program.
Yeah.
Um, After I graduated, I went back to Columbus, and that's when I started providing professional, like clinical services, because we did the whole school thing. And then after that, my fiance and I moved to Tennessee, and that's where I got into Lacuna, kind of grew in my leadership position, which I felt like I had always been looking for but not finding. So I'm feeling pretty at home here, I'd say.
Interesting. I am curious. Tell me a little bit more about that you've been looking for a leadership position and not finding one. Tell me about finding one. What was that
Yeah.
process like? What did you discover? What did you learn? What did you learn from places that were not that?
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting when I finished school, entering the clinical world after being in academia for so long. Um, but I felt like I had all of these ideas, or I was super passionate to fulfill whatever missions I learned in the program. Um, but anytime I brought ideas, I felt like I was really trying to connect with people, but maybe wasn't getting the same connection like back in the same way I was eager to. Um, so then when I moved to Tennessee, I started to apply to these regional director positions because I wanted just to have a little bit more say in the services being provided, kind of let some of my passions shine through. And they took a shot on me, and I'm loving it.
What is distinct moving from a more clinical role to a regional director role that you found, and how have you had to adjust and grow in that?
Ooh, such a good question. I would say when being in the typical BCBA role, they're thinking about billables, providing those quality clinical services, of course. But moving to a regional director role, I think I've had a lot more say in some of the programming, systems being implemented from that systems level, helping grow the region, helping people grow in their professional development interests, which I'm really passionate about. But just kind of shaping things from the back a little bit more.
And what's been challenging to you about that? What have you learned?
Oh, so many uh I would say so many difficult conversations that no one would ever teach you to have probably prior to going into a role like that.
Mm.
So that's been definitely the most challenging and a skill set maybe I wasn't expecting to learn.
What Tell me a little bit about what makes a conversation difficult, and then tell me what you've learned about having them.
It probably makes it difficult. I actually think I reflect on this a lot, and a lot of times it's right after I have one or going into it. But it's more so probably my feelings and not wanting to make the other person feel bad, or maybe like thinking from their perspective how they're receiving the conversation. Um, I'm definitely feeling like I'm in my perspective taking era, which has helped a lot. Um, to be able to kind of change my mindset going into the conversations about that, more so that I get to have this conversation with this person, and I get the opportunity to meet someone's professional development needs where they are.
Okay. So I'm hearing a couple things. One,
Hmm.
focusing on the difference that this conversation is going to make for them.
Yeah,
So distinct from just having it be, I need you to get something done, like, uh, which I would call relating to people as like a problem to solve, right?
yeah,
Like, I got to solve this person's not doing what I want. They're a problem. I've got to get them to do what I want. And that may be included in there, but then there's the added element, at least, of, okay, no, I'm going to have this conversation be for their growth and development as well.
definitely.
Which I think is what you, or at least one aspect of what you said when you talked about changing your mindset,
Yeah,
right? Um,
agreed.
okay. And so that's helped you have difficult conversations. Anything else?
I would say um, definitely learning to sit in the uncomfortable a little bit. It's not going to go away during the conversation, usually before or after, but getting more familiar with it and comfortable with it has helped quite a bit. Um, I also think trying to separate letting things weigh on me during the day. Um, I don't think it's a negative for things to weigh on us emotionally, but it's how we move past it as well, like recognizing the feelings, moving accordingly, but also being able to go home and sleep at night is
Yeah.
important too.
Um, Talk a little bit more about being in the discomfort. And another thing, I didn't point back to this, but you said
Hmm.
that uh like you went into, or maybe go into, difficult conversations not wanting to make someone uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? And so pointing back to that, and then saying, okay, being willing to sit in the discomfort.
Hmm.
Talk a little bit about the difference that you've seen that make. And I would love if you could kind of compare and contrast an experience where you didn't do that, where behavior got all about, like, I don't want anyone to be uncomfortable, versus a time when you were really, I don't know if free and at home is exactly the right thing to say,
Yeah.
but at least willing to have discomfort be present.
Yeah. That's a good question. I would say in the first example, something I learned very quick, moving to this type of leadership position is to not um like avoid having the conversation because I'm fearful of the outcome or what the other person might think. So um being able to move through that in a different way would be having a conversation with the person. And I feel like I do wear my heart on my sleeve, so I usually have them and come from a place of even communicating out loud with them that I want to be transparent. And this conversation might not be super fun, but I don't think it's fair to not communicate with you on this. So I kind of usually start there, and just come from a place of vulnerability on my end too. That no one really wants to talk about this,
So,
probably,
like,
right?
acknowledging that you're uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And hey, this is not a conversation I particularly want to have.
yeah. I wish we
Uh,
weren't.
yeah. Cool. I like what you said. Well, you tell me. Because I imagine that that could go a couple ways, and I don't want people to hear something that's not going to work.
Yeah,
And so I kind of imagine that, there's the things that we say out loud, and then there's a whole communication in terms of you might call it body language, but it's more like the emotions you convey and the tone and all of that is this huge part of communication beyond just saying something like, I don't really want to have this conversation, right?
Correct.
So I imagine that when you say that, and I could be wrong, and you correct me if I am, when you say it, there is a certain amount of ownership for that it's me who's not doing the wanting versus Amy, I don't want to have this conversation and I'm irritated with you that you're making me have this.
Yes,
Right. And that would be the like probably uncommunicated part that would come out in tone and body language and things like that.
of course.
So talk a little bit about, I just talked a lot. Um,
I loved it.
I'm curious what insights or additions or subtractions you have.
Yes, my first thought was, "Ooh, I should also add, um, I also try to be a super present person and get to know everyone, so that when I go to approach that conversation, and be vulnerable too, that usually the person like knows my heart and how I've been showing up for the kids and like the team at the center.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
I wonder like if how I would approach that, not knowing the person, perhaps as well. Um, but something I feel like I didn't receive, like first getting into the clinical world, was kind of I've touched on like that connection, investment, believing in me, empowering me, autonomy, all of that.
Yeah.
So I definitely try to like convey that immediately when someone walks through the door that I'm here for you.
Okay, great. So that was something missing when you entered clinical that you weren't getting in your from your managers, leaders, whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right. Well, so one thing I hear then is having your values be conspicuous and and letting people know in word and action, it sounds like,
Yeah.
really what you're about, right?
Yes.
Um, hey, let's talk about like let's brainstorm how you would do that with someone who you didn't know as well.
Yeah. I would probably state everything that I feel about the center and the people in it if I didn't
Uh-huh.
have time to like go out for the actual like see me on the floor with the kids.
Yeah.
But I kind of just have word vomit sometimes, controlled word vomit.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think that would work. I just wanted to um leave our listeners with that even if you don't have that long history with someone, you can actually create it. That,
Mm,
um, cool.
yeah. I would say also too, like listening, like as a listener, of course. But when you're in the while you're bringing the meeting, maybe, or whatever the uncomfortable conversation is, they're also going to speak back to you.
Yeah.
So being able to like shut up for a minute and kind of listen to what they're saying and like really hear what they're saying.
Mm. You are touching on one of my favorite things. Tell me what
Ooh,
you learned about listening.
there is a lot more than I would ever think. Um, Especially since I hear so many different situations, whether it's clinical billing, teammates, my teammates. Um, there's always so much more to find out than like the initial first sentence. So being able to ask the questions and then listen back, and then ask some more and then listen back is important.
Hmm. How do you, that's interesting.
Mm,
What's interesting to me, one of my passions too is just language. And I think
yeah.
how we say things is really indicative of something, right? So for you, you said listen back, right? And,
Yeah.
um, and what I can hear in that is that it's not just like how listening occurs for you isn't just a absorbent process, right? Like there's actually something that you're giving back while you're listening, and you might not even know what it is or put the thought in. I'd love to explore it now.
Yeah.
Is what that is, and how, yeah, what that is. Like if you can start to distinguish some of the things that you're doing or what you're bringing to it that uh that opens that up and what you've learned.
Yeah.
Make any sense?
Uh, yeah. Shape me one way or the other if this doesn't answer the question.
Yeah.
Um, but I think listening back, I also try to think about a person's motivations or what makes them excited in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, because I think everyone brings something so different to the table, and it might not be what we expect or what we're used to. And that
Yeah.
in itself can be uncomfortable.
Okay. So, wait, I didn't get that. Say that again.
Like, I think in every conversation, each person will bring something very different to the table, whether it's our BCBA team, our team as a whole, each person like brings something to the potluck, basically.
Yeah.
Um, and it's whether like you're willing, and I don't know if this analogy makes sense, but willing to pull up to the table and eat and as a group and take each person's attributes.
Okay, got it. So, um, making space, correct me if I misheard,
Yeah,
but making space for whatever's there for people.
yeah.
Um, okay, I think I got it. And you said that can be uncomfortable. Say a little bit more about that. And then I do want to return to something you said about listening for people's motivations.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well,
talk about the like how that can be uncomfortable.
I think, you know how I joked and some in my perspective, taking era,
Yeah.
um, half a joke. Um, so I think when people each bring their thing to the table and it might be uncomfortable because it challenges my perspective and the perspective era that I'm in.
Mm,
And
yes.
maybe I hadn't like considered what they were going to say before. And then I'm
Yes.
like, uh-oh, I haven't considered what they're going to say before.
Yeah, okay, got it. Got it. So when people really authentically show up,
Hmm.
say what's there for them, it might conflict with how you understand things or how you see things, or just offer something you hadn't even considered,
Yeah.
which um which I'm looking back on myself and that as someone who likes to have answers, or thinks and tends to just default to that answers provide something. You know, if someone says something to me that I haven't considered, that like sometimes I'll have the reaction like, oh, I should have considered that, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay, cool. All right, I got it. And then you said listening for people's motivations. Let's talk about that because I think probably um and we were talking about listening back as this kind of active process that a lot of times um people's motivations aren't always in the content of what they say.
True.
That there's something like I don't always tell you like why I'm talking to you or what long-term future outcome I think this conversation is going to contribute to, or what I really care about when I'm asking for a change to a process,
Yeah.
or something for my team, or time off, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, so talk a little bit more about that because I think there's some gold there.
Okay. Um, I think with each person's different motivation, it could, like you said, could be hard to listen for. Um, I do want to say in that I also listen for it because I don't want everyone to have to like act the same. Sure, we have like values as a company and as clinicians. But I think since each person does bring something super unique to the conversation, their motivations might be different, but the outcomes we're trying to get to collectively, we can all move towards. So I definitely want to try to like celebrate and empower whatever motivation I hear it is. And I try to listen for that like this isn't clinical at all, but that ding, 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 they just said something to me that's really important to them. Like, how can I
Yeah.
meet them where they're at?
Yeah. Awesome. What difference have you seen that make as you've built that skill?
Since professional development's one of something I get excited about, when I see a change in their confidence and excitement, it just fires me up. I
Mm,
love seeing them bring ideas and go act on them, and then also have the confidence that, like, yeah, you've got this. Like, I'm here to help, but like, you're good also.
yeah. So you didn't say it explicitly, but you did say it. Do you see a connection between people really connecting in dialogue with what matters to them and their level of excitement, their confidence? I want to operationalize confidence a little bit more.
Ooh, I like that.
Um, well, because there's like you're calling something confidence, but there's something that they exhibit that you can see that you're calling confidence, right?
Hmm.
And so speculate with me because I don't know,
Yeah.
right? Um, like what do you think that is that people are doing when they're showing confidence as a result of like your dialogue with them where you listen back?
Yeah. I see confidence, and it can be either um, them loving a situation, maybe talking a little faster, smiling, wanting to share
Mm,
ideas, or also having the confidence to like challenge the situation, and maybe them initiate that uncomfortable conversation because it means like something to them.
yeah. Awesome. I really want to underline that because I think that's really powerful. I think we could probably all imagine times, you, me, and everyone listening to this in our lives where um like we really shared something we care about and it's like people stepped on it and
Yeah.
like they laughed at it, they insulted it, they made fun of it, they said that's stupid, whatever. And um and that feels really hurtful.
Hmm.
So I think um that people can get kind of suppressed in expressing what they really care about because there's always
Agreed.
some amount of risk, right? Like it's really easy to talk about the weather. It's really hard to be the first person in a relationship to say I love you, you know?
Yeah.
And so I imagine, and I think probably most of us, like I said, walk around with some of that. I mean, I know I do, right? Like there's a hesitation to say, I think things, you know, I think there's something possible here. I have a vision, etc. And so what I'm hearing and what you're saying is that there's something really powerful in welcoming, not just like listening for, but really being welcoming and encouraging of what people really care about, whether it's the thing that you care about or not.
Yeah. I think it, I think what you said, it hurts so bad to like bring it up and then someone not being on the receiving end. And I think it speaks even more volume when someone, I feel like bringing up the like challenging thing or negative thing can be like the easier part, and bringing up the things you're passionate about and being vulnerable about things you love and want to grow in um, can be harder if people haven't heard you before.
Yes. Awesome. Um, that's great. Thank you. Anything else you want to share about your journey and what you've learned? And is there anything more you want to say about listening and hard conversations?
I would just like scream from the mountaintop about transparency and vulnerability, and doing some work to be able to move through that with another person. because that it does take practice. It's
Talk
still
a little bit
something.
about talk a little bit about that work.
Yeah, I like even getting on this call, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna say?
Uh-huh.
Um, or going into the conversation knowing like you don't have to know it all. You might not say everything perfectly. That's really uncomfortable. You might make
Mhm.
the person sad. That really is awful. Um, but I think if you're open to not just being over it, and not going into it as the like I'm right, then like it'll be okay.
Mm.
And I know we talked about values a lot, but leading with my heart, leading with my authentic self, who I am as a person. People, of course, have to give me that space. You have to be in a work setting where people will receive that. But I try really hard to like just be myself.
Yeah, I mean, talk a little bit about that. Um, what you mean by being yourself, because I don't think I don't think people really know what their self is all the
Yeah.
time, you know? Um,
Yeah.
like I've got a lot of voices in my head that sound just like me that um that if I really look at them don't have a lot to do with who I would say I am, right? And their voices
Right.
are like, oh, don't do that. They might get upset. And it become like all of a sudden, if I listen to those voices that sound just like me, all of a sudden I'll be organizing my actions around trying to not upset someone or really manage how someone sees me versus just really like walking into a situation uh like feeling like I'm free to be myself.
Yeah. Um, I think like not every workspace like affords that privilege to people to be able to feel like open to be themselves, um, which is unfortunate. But I think I can start with like if I can show other people I'm willing to try, and hear them and think about all those considerations. It's also been really helpful to have like that other person that I can get like my true feelings out with, whether that's like
Hmm.
joy, excitement, sadness, whatever it is. Um, I don't have to move through these situations alone ever.
Yes. How do you identify those people?
I would say that's a good question. For me, I knew like instantly, because we were immediately like transparent and like vulnerable with each other. In previous workspaces, I can't say that like I had that person every single time, which was challenging. So sometimes it would be another clinician that I knew like in the field to be able to be open with.
Yeah. I want to underline that. That's really important, I think, is
Hmm.
of having I will talk about like know where your water is. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is like where do you get rejuvenated, right? And we especially in the field of behavior analysis spend a lot of our lives like bringing water to people. And
Yeah.
so it's important to have a place where you can go and for you it sounds like you've identified that connecting with what you're excited about is important. And I think that's important, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so if it's not your supervisor in your organization, then or anyone on your team, have it be someone like
Hmm.
find those places, find those people. Um, awesome.
Yeah.
We are getting close to the time we set aside for this. A couple more questions. What is next? How are you looking to grow and develop? Where, elevate your own capacity for providing leadership, and how's that going to get expressed in uh, your organization and your career?
It's a good question. It's definitely been on my mind this month. We just found out this week that we're going to be opening another center kind of in the area. Um, so I've been thinking about what that team will be like. all new faces. Each building is going to have its own culture. So I
Yeah.
think it's exciting to start from somewhere where you can cultivate that, maybe this communication, vulnerability, transparency that we've been like talking about.
Awesome. And then next is, what are you proud of?
Ooh, I wasn't expecting that one. Hmm. I would say probably the relationships that I have with the people in my life.
Yeah.
Um, they help me through every single day, whether it's hard or happy, whether they're clinicians or not. And like we're talking about, like finding those people. I think they're the people that cheer you on, laugh with you, cry with you, get better with you. Um, and I hope everyone's able to find those people in their life too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then my final question is, if people are interested, how can they reach out and find you?
Um, LinkedIn. I can also provide an email. It's Amy Siebold on LinkedIn. I can also provide a phone number if you want.
You don't need to leave a phone number. They can reach out.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Um, Dr. Amy Siebold, thank you so much for being with us and exploring these ideas and sharing your insights with us. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm sure our listeners are getting a lot from it. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's fun to reconnect today.
Yeah, my pleasure. And that concludes this episode of The Flex. As usual, give us a like, give us a follow, um, share us with your friends, and we will see you back here at the next episode.